Well, what's going on, guys? So Riverbug here, and just gonna tie up some steelhead jigs. I've been tying up a bunch of these actually, because I plan on doing that here real soon. I'm not too far away from the Lake Erie tributaries and things like that, so that's something I'll be doing here hopefully soon. And just got a black ball head jig. It's a 1/16 ounce with a number 4 2x strong hook, and just using some black thread. And these ones I'm tying up today are just going to be black, and I'm going to put some yellow in with it, and just see what happens. We're going to clip that end off. Sorry for the lighting, it's a little bit dark. It's late right now. I'm doing this, it's pretty late, and it's about the only time I can get quiet time here at my house with the kids running around and things. So if you got kids, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But just gonna get our Marabou feather out here and show you guys that yellow. That's that bright yellow, and this is gonna be preferably like a muddy water kind of jig, something you'd use. The water being stained, and primary time to go out fishing for these fish is during the colder months up here. And I like to take that Marabou feather just so you guys see it, and I'll strip it back, and that little bitty tip right there, I'll just clip it off, because just my opinion, when you tie Marabou in and you tie the whole feather in like this, that tip will stay kind of just stiff in the water. It ain't really stiff, it just, I don't know, it kind of bunches up a little bit, and we don't really want that in our jig. So I'm putting this lighter collar on the bottom, and I'll show you guys. I like to do 3 feathers. I'll tie 3 feathers in and give it a loose wrap, kind of keep it situated there, and then pull it tight, and then we'll give it a couple more wraps of thread, and then I'll cut off, use these smaller scissors here, get in there and just clip away at that, and then tighten that down, clean that up. And it don't gotta be super perfect, because we'll be tying in over it a few more times, but and I always just set that aside. Might use it on something, may not, and then we'll do the same thing with our black. That's a little bit of a thinner thread feather, so we'll just clip that very end off like that. And it just helps, because what happens is you get rid of them little smaller thin fibers, and when you tie in the feather like this, it just helps them longer fibers. I don't know if you guys pick that up, but these longer fibers will be what your actual jig is, so that stiffer part just won't really be a problem. Tighten that in and kind of put it catty corner a little bit, because we're going to put in another feather. I like my Marabou jigs of any kind to be really full, and I guess you can call them bushy. Just how I like them. I like to have as nice thick profile, kind of going to be pronounced in the water, I guess you can say. And I got get us this feather off of here. It's just strung Marabou. It's kind of stuck together there. Sometimes you really gotta pull at it. See, this feather's kind of tore up, but it'll work for what we're doing. Just clipping that tip off. See that end piece of that feather? See, you couldn't palmer this feather in, but when you pull it tight, see, you still got that nice thick bit of feather there. It's not a perfect feather by any means, but when you're tying it like that, it doesn't really need to be. Fix that thread a little bit. I'm a little bit further back than I'd like. It's not really bad, it's just further back than I'd like. So we're gonna go ahead and tie that in. And this will give us a nice full jig. And we'll clip that. Get under there and clip that off. And then we'll tighten all this stuff down. Build up a nice collar. Can't really see the lighting in here, it's pretty bad. And then we'll pretty much gotta, that's good enough, honestly. But then we'll add in just a little bit, a couple strands of this splash. We'll just tie that in. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit, so that way it's a little bit pronounced in there. And that'll help our jig out a little bit, give it some more colors and things like that. And we'll take that extra piece and tie that in too. That flash just kind of twisted up on me. I'm not really gonna make any cuts to this. I'm just gonna tie almost like a live video, except I'm not live, I'm just tying with the camera on, I guess you can say. And that's pretty much our jig. Gonna be done right there. And do really good for steelhead. And I'm gonna go ahead, and I like to do this, not everybody does. I do it just to lock the thread in a little bit better, keep it secure. I put a little bit of Sally Hansen's on there, and then I'll do my whip finish. It's just how I like to do it. But then again, everybody does this stuff a little bit different. And that's, I guess, what makes us all unique in our own way. And steelhead, is fighting fish, so you want to be able to catch a few of them on these jigs. You don't want to just catch one fish and your jig explode on you. So, and that's our done jig there. And just a little bit of collar in there. I'll try to hold it with the scissors. Oh, that ain't gonna work. I got some here. Some pinchers here. So I can hold that jig and let you guys look at it. Just a little bit of bright color in there to kind of pronounce it a little bit. Straighten them feathers out. Nothing too crazy. And should do real well for steelhead. And there's a rule when it comes to tying up jigs, and that is you never tie just one. Anybody that tied jigs or tying jigs knows, and it's the same way if you're just buying jigs. You never just buy one bait. You always got to get a couple, because if that's what's working, there's some days that's just how it is. And what'll happen is you'll end up with just one bait that you was experimenting with, and well, it'll either get destroyed, you'll snag up and lose it, and then you're constantly trying to mimic the bait you started with, and you just don't got it. So I'm going to tie up a couple more of these, because be getting ready to hopefully go catch some steelhead soon. And steelhead jigs super easy to make. Just really need marabou feather. You can use any feather. See, this right here is a bad marabou feather. This will only do me good for like a crappie jig or something. So we'll set that aside. That's not really good. You want these bushy, you want a bushy feather for tying in a jig, especially when you're just tying a marabou jig or hair jig or something along those lines. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna take that little bit of a tip and just clip that tip off there. I got a mess of feathers everywhere right now, but okay. These feathers can be sometimes a little bit of a pain. I always give it a couple loose wraps before I pull it tight. That's just how I do it. And then I'll tighten down. And if you got a rotating vise, it'd be easier than doing what I'm doing. And I kind of like that yellow. I might do one that's all yellow here in just a minute, just to see. Or it could be chartreuse, whatever you want to call it, really, I guess. It's not green, it's just, I don't know. It's not green though. And we're gonna pull back and cut that tip off. So I kind of, these jigs right here are fantastic for steelhead. I guess trout and everything, really anything. I eat these, but the main reason I'm making them is for steelhead. And you could thin these out and just say you want 2 feathers, but I like the thicker profile and just a full body. I want a full jig, guys. This is how I like them. I want a nice quality jig when I go out fishing, because then you got just more confidence in your bait. And that's the beauty of tying up your own jig, is when you tie your own jig, you don't have to worry about, well, I wish it was like this, and then you can't even be upset if it ain't working, because you're the one that made it. So that's the beauty of doing your own. And I'm gonna add in another feather on this far side. I like to do one on the bottom, or it would be considered the top if you're fishing, and 2 on the underside of the jig, so one kind of catty corner on each side of the jig, and it gives you a nice full body. If you wanted a thinner profile, you could do the same thing, but instead of using the 2 on the bottom, you just do 1 feather on top, 1 feather on bottom, and then you'd have a thinner profile. I prefer a fuller jig, and most people I know would prefer a fuller jig as well. So I'll be tying up a bunch of these, and different collars and things. Right now I'm just working on a lot of black and things that work in my area, I guess you could say, my area. You know, different collars work better in different parts of the world. And so if you got a favorite collar or one that's working for you, use what's working for you. I'm gonna add in some flash here in just a second. Just trying to clean up all that. I like a nice clean look, and that's just how I like it. And really quick too, while I'm tying this, a lot of guys when they're tying with Marabou, I know, and everybody's seen this, will lick their hands to get these feathers wet, so it's easier to maneuver them. Don't do that. If you want your material to be kind of wetted down, to be easier to tie with, keep a small cup of water or something with you. Don't, it's like, I know you guys can see, look at my fingertips. That's just from the dye of these feathers. And guys, you don't want to be eating that dye. And if you're making these jigs for other people especially, you know, kind of consider that as well, you know. Somebody's gonna be touching that jig, and you know, I'm not trying to sound funny or nothing, but I wouldn't want someone licking something and then putting it in my hand. And that's just me. So, what I got going on here? I got it tangled up somehow. And I forgot. I didn't forget. I just put my head cement. You can use blue head cement, fly tying cement, anything you want for that. I just use Sally Hansen's because it's the most affordable, and it does the same thing. I don't have a real method to this. I just go around about 6 times and then pull that tight. Make sure you pull that thread tight. And then we'll go ahead and clip our thread. And there you have a very effective steelhead jig, trout jig. Bass will eat this. So you guys look at that. I mean, bass will eat that. Anything will eat that, guys. It's just how it is. Marabou jig has been around for years, and they've worked. They always have worked, and that yellow contrasts nice in muddy water. It'll just be a good all-around jig. And I've tied these up in a few different colors, red, black, olive greens, bright oranges, whites and reds, all kind of combinations. You know, the sky's the limit when you're tying up your jigs, and you know, and as a consumer, if you're just buying jigs, make sure you have some of these in your arsenal for anything. I mean, and this too is another thing that's good about these are, let me see, do I have, set that aside, I got, here, I'll show you this one that's, haven't tied on this, just painted it black. But this hook is actually, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's small enough that you could actually catch crappie, and be a good bass hook too. So these hooks, these jigs, this style of jig will catch everything that swims pretty much. So that's the great thing about it. I'm tying it for steelhead, but it's phenomenal for multiple different species of fish. I've got a lot of smallmouth bass on these Marabou jigs. It's just how it is. It's a classic lure. It's been around for years and years and years. And, you know, I want to say since like the 50s or 60s is when someone tied up the first hair jig. I can't remember exactly. I watched a thing on it the other day. But it's been around for years. And it's kind of faded away, at least with my generation. The guys in their 20s don't even know how to fish a hair jig, most of them. But you run across some older guys, they're gonna have boxes full of hair jigs because they just work. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this off, just tying up some steelhead jigs, Marabou jigs, and I'm gonna tie up a few more. I got a bunch more I gotta tie up, but if you guys like this, the raw style of video, let me know. I ain't posted for a little bit. I had a lot of stuff going with life, car problems, people, theft problems, vandalism. It's just part of where I live at, I guess. I don't know what's been, you know, I've lived here for 3 or 4 years now in this part of Ohio, and I've never had an issue. In the past month, I've had enough issues with people to amount for 20 years worth of problems. I mean, that's just crazy. I've actually had to get multiple cameras set up outside of where I live just because the amount of issues I've been having all of a sudden. So hopefully get to be out fishing soon. I'm ready to go. I've been down to the river a little bit, but I haven't got to go out on the boat. Haven't got to go out on my kayak. So it's just been a mess. But one thing I do know that's true, the water's still wet. And I got a saying around here, if the water's wet, it's a good time to go fishing. So we'll be out soon, hopefully. But thank you guys for watching, and any and all support, guys. I appreciate it, and hopefully catch you guys on the next one.